guys, if you're new here, my name is Angela, and I am on a quest to become a muscle mom. I'm documenting the whole thing through the ups and downs of regular life. It is raw, it is unaesthetic, just trying to face my health head on. And if that's something that you're interested in witnessing, being a part of, watching, I hope you'll subscribe and follow along with me. And if you're on your own journey, comment below, because I really do want to connect. I'm trying to find my people who are in the midst of their transformation and not necessarily already posting about their transformation, though that is inspirational. I am looking for other women who are trying to just figure it all out. So today's episode is part 4 in my diet deprogramming series. And if you haven't watched parts 1 through 3, I definitely recommend going back to my channel and catching up on that so that today's video makes sense to you. The subject of today's part is the climb to nearly 3,000 calories a day, and the internet fucking hates that. Speaking of the internet, before I get into this, I'm not a doctor. I'm not certified in anything to do with health, fitness, nutrition, medical, nothing. These are all just my stories of the experiences I've had this year, and it's mostly for entertainment purposes. So of course, if you're thinking about changing anything in your diet or fitness situation, make sure you contact the professionals in your life and get qualified advice, because I don't have that. A quick recap on last time's video was I had kind of nailed down my system for checking in every single day with ChatGPT with all of my metrics, and also discovering that my PMDD was a pretty big culprit in me having weight fluctuations due to extreme water retention, particularly in the second half of my cycle in my luteal phase. When I initially started tracking all of this, I think I mentioned it in a previous video, my intention was only to do it for 1 to 3 months, maybe, just so I could get a realistic idea of what my TDEE was. That was at the beginning of things. And then obviously it was so that I could eventually do a deficit and start to lose weight. But what ended up happening was that I stuck with it for 4 months just because I was learning so much about my body and how it reacted to stress or lack of sleep or high sodium meals or where I was exactly in my cycle and so on. And in those 4 months, I never ended up actively attempting to get myself into a deficit because of how much I was learning. I was leaning into more of eating at maintenance and kind of trying to respond to what my body was telling me that it needed. Yeah, I just ate it what I felt like I needed and what ChatGPT kind of told me to eat at in response to what was going on with my body. I kind of developed this check-in system with ChatGPT every day where it was like a traffic light. I would send in my check-in, my metrics, my notes, and it would tell me whether it was a green light day, a yellow light day, or a red light day. And if it was green, that meant I slept well, my recovery was good, my body looked like it could handle going into a deficit. If it was yellow, I could still do deficit depending on the situation, but very, very, very slight and or staying around maintenance. And if it was red, it was absolutely no deficit. A lot of times that was later in my cycle. So I would check in, I would get my rating of what type of day it was, and I would stick to whatever goals it had outlined for me. And I think just doing that naturally led me to end up in more of a maintenance number or maintenance mindset as opposed to rapid weight loss. And honestly, I think that that was one of the most pivotal moments for me in this entire journey, arriving at a point of body neutrality and listening to what my body was telling me it needed and responding appropriately, as opposed to just trying to stick to some number off of the internet that I got that I decided was my calorie goal. And as these 4 months passed of me submitting my data, getting my goals in response from chat, and applying those to each day in my life, the summary, which is my favorite part of this entire series, is looking at the actual numbers, and it's the part that the internet really fucking hates. Because I'm a fat girl talking about eating a lot of food. I want to remind you that I was very meticulous in these 4 months of tracking. I was weighing my food by the gram. If it was a whole food, it definitely was being weighed by the gram. If it was a packaged food, I was double checking that what was in my FitnessPal matched what was on the package. So I know that these calorie summaries I'm about to give you are as close to accurate as I could possibly get them. By the end of cycle 1, my daily calorie intake average was 2,487 calories a day. During cycle 2, at the end, the average was 2,778 calories a day. During my third cycle, I hit my peak and I ended up eating an average of 2,974 calories a day. And during my fourth cycle, it was roughly the same, 2,962 calories a day. Like I said, the internet's gonna hate this, but what those last 2 months of eating nearly 3,000 calories taught me was worth so much more than any weight loss that I would have seen had I tried to do a real cut of any sort. When I was eating that much food, my mood-based PMDD symptoms, not my water retention, that's never gone away. That's just, I think, a part of my life forever. My mood symptoms of my PMDD had completely vanished for 2 months while I was eating that close to 3,000 calories. When I think back at that time too, it's still kind of hard to believe. I wasn't having destructive thoughts or intrusive thoughts. I wasn't picking fights with my spouse over nothing. My patience with my children had drastically improved. And mind you, this was all happening in the months of January and February. And I have suffered for as long as I can remember, like my entire adult life, I have suffered with winter depression. And I didn't have it. I didn't have any of that. I was happy and I was fun to be around. I was a new woman. It's not all perfect news. Eating at the higher calorie amounts did result in a really slight gain for me at the end of cycle 2 compared to the end of cycle 4. I was up 2.5 pounds. As a side note, in those first 2 months when I was eating 2,500 and 2,750-ish, my weight actually did trend down. And in month 2, probably a couple of days after I finished my period, I had hit my lowest postpartum weight from my most recent pregnancy. And again, I was eating 2,750 a day on average there. So I figured that with all of that information, I had come pretty damn close to finding an accurate idea of what maintenance was, what a surplus, and what a deficit was for me. It was all I ever really had wanted to know. And it felt good to complete something and be so consistent and find the answers that I needed to succeed in the future. All of that said, I want to be clear. I'm not saying anybody should start cramming down 3,000 calories. And in fact, if you did that, it's probably a surefire way to gain weight. It's pretty difficult to do, even for a gal like me who likes her sweets. It's a lot of food. It's so much food. So that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I want to empower people. I want to empower women. I want to empower mothers who put ourselves on the back burners for everybody else. Take a moment out of your day to sit down and think about this if it's something that's important to you. I feel like we could show up so much better for our families and the people we love if we showed up for ourselves and gave ourselves the opportunity to listen to what your body says that it needs. You might end up pretty surprised what you find out, especially if you've spent your life chronically dieting or in an extreme deficit for a long period of time. You might need more than you think that you do, and it might be the thing that kickstart your progress again in the future. So here we are at this point in the journey. I had tracked everything meticulously and religiously for a third of a year, which that alone was an achievement I don't think I knew I was capable of, because I hadn't tracked anything that hardcore since I did Weight Watchers in my early 20s. It's been a long time since I did that. I had learned so much about my body at that point. I had learned that my muscle mass was pretty high, especially for a woman, and how much that contributed to my metabolism being what it was and that calorie need being as high as it was. I found out that my PMDD led to some pretty drastic inflammation and water retention, and it was something that I could expect every single month. I discovered that eating at or just above maintenance made me not want to rip people's heads off for 2 weeks out of every month. And I had managed to remove emotion from my body and the scale which was something I've never been able to do in my entire life until this year. And I think the number one thing that I take away from this whole experience was that I built habits that became the foundation I needed to have success long-term for the rest of my life, taking care of my body in a way that supports it and helps me to achieve all of the goals that I've got laid out for myself. And the list ain't short. I would have to say that this was the most drastic, game-changing experience and completely flipped my approach to my health and fitness upside down in the best way possible. But after 4 months of being hyper-aware and hardcore tracking and learning all I learned about myself, I now had the knowledge that I needed, and I was ready to apply it and try to get myself into that slight deficit, because the bottom line is that I still need to eventually weigh less than I do right now so that I can take pressure off of my knees and have a better quality of life. So I'm going to end today's video here, and the next video will likely be the last one of the diet deprogramming series, because it kind of bridges the gap from there to where I'm at now, wrapping my head around how weight loss for me is never, ever going to be a quick fix, fast transformation, none of that, and how accepting that and knowing that I had to approach it from a very strategic place led me to hiring my fitness coach, Jamie, who trains women specifically who struggle with PMDD, PCOS, or PMOS now because the name has changed, and endometriosis. If you've stayed this long, thank you so much. You don't know how much I appreciate it. My goal is to literally just help one woman understand that she doesn't have to starve herself, and she probably shouldn't be if she wants to support her body. If that's happening for you, I'm over the moon. That's all I want. Don't forget to smash the like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Comment below with where you are in your journey, and I will see you guys next time. I love you so much. Bye!